Does anyone know what a puppy mill is? Well, a puppy mill is a commercial dog breeding facility characterized by quick breeding and poor conditions. I will be covering 3 major topics about the puppy mills to prove they are everything but nice. The first thing I'll cover is the living conditions of the dogs. The second thing I'll cover is the harm that is done to the dogs while being held in the puppy mill. Lastly, I'll cover the signs that you can tell you are dealing with a dog or puppy that's been from a puppy mill. Alright, let's talk about the living conditions of a puppy mill. According to ASPCA, breeders maximize space by keeping the dogs tightly contained in small, stacked, wire-floored crates, or they are kept outside in pens to where they are exposed to heat, cold, and rain. Another example is that dogs can develop diseases and spread them to others, and to puppies that have undeveloped immune systems. Lastly, the dogs and puppies that live in a mill do not have physical and emotional care from the breeders. For example, the dogs never get taken on walks or even get petted, which causes the dogs to pace back and forth, bark nonstop, cower, and appear entirely shut down. Next, let's talk about the harm that is done to the dogs in the mill. According to simplyfordogs.com, the ranchers in the puppy mill operate with little to no concern for the health of the breeding stock, and even less for the puppies. Much of the time, puppies die shortly after birth. Another example is that puppy mills can cause mental harm to the dogs. For example, according to the Center for Shelter Dogs, breeding dogs display persistent behavioral and psychological abnormalities, such as having a high rate of fear, house soiling, staring blankly into space, and have lower rates of trainability and energy. Excuse me. Lastly, let's talk about how you know if you are dealing or if you have seen a dog that's belonged to a puppy mill. According to dogs.lovetoknow.com, one way you know you are dealing with a puppy mill dog is if there are multiple litters. If there are multiple litters, constant supply of puppies, and litters of more than one breed at a time, you're definitely dealing with a puppy mill. Another example is if there are designer breeds. Puppy mills will sell designer breeds which are either a crossbred or a mini version of a famous breed. Lastly, you know you are dealing with a puppy mill dog is if there are no paperwork or contracts involved. Usually, if you are getting a dog, the breeders or owners would ask you to fill out paperwork or a contract to make sure that you are responsible for this dog and that you are a good caretaker for this dog. If a breeder doesn't ask you to fill out paperwork or even a contract and just wants to take your money without question, it's most likely a puppy mill. Alright. To conclude, puppy mills have the dogs and the puppies live in unacceptable environments. There is physical and mental harm that happens to the dogs while living in the mills. And lastly, the ways you know you are dealing with a puppy mill dog is if there are multiple litters, designer dogs, and if there is no paperwork or contracts involved in getting a dog or a puppy. Remember, adopt, don't shop.